name is Karlie Stewart, and I am from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I have been here for about 10 years. I'm an interior designer by trade and love doing creative projects. I also have a small dog who I love very much, and a partner here. So I moved here. It was just towards the end of my design degree, and I was looking for a job in Calgary, and there was nothing available. And I saw a job posting here at an architectural firm, and so I thought, okay, I'll try it out. I'd never been to Saskatoon before. I didn't know anyone, and I was moving there, or here, by myself rather. And so it ended up that I got an interview, and I ended up getting the job. So I kind of packed up all my stuff from Calgary and moved here for an adventure. And now that is almost 10 years. Like, my favorite part is being in the space that I've designed, watching people enjoy it. So whether that's a restaurant or if it's someone's house and they're just like, oh my God, finally I don't need to fight with my partner in the kitchen and we have enough room and it functions well, then that makes me so happy. Yeah, it took a long time. About, I think it would have been, I think it was that the summer after I had moved here in September, the summer after I had moved here, I was feeling like I didn't have my safety net or the family around in that support system, which kind of snowballed into me having challenges with my mental health, and eventually getting help, professional help for that. But it was about like a 6 to 9 month like build up before I'm like, okay, now this isn't, there's something wrong. So in the beginning, there's all that excitement, which was amazing. And then kind of the like, holy crap, I'm out here by myself set in. But then going through that and gaining a new perspective started changing the way that I viewed things, which really helped. And then eventually I decided to move out of the basement suite into, I call it my bachelorette pad. It was this top floor of the house that was just like, it was so amazing. And then I ended up buying a home a couple years after that. So I do feel like Saskatoon is my home, and I am settled here, like as to where I'm living and having a house and a partner. But the unsettling part, I guess, is kind of the limbo that I feel my career, maybe it's not a career, or like future direction or that sort of thing, I feel is kind of that, it's like swirling around or something. It's trying to figure it out. Yep. I had started noticing that at work, I was given a daycare project, which very exciting, fun project. There was a lot of rules that I had to follow as far as like a building code and things like that, especially for daycares. There's certain, like windows have to be certain sizes to have certain percentage of light and yada, 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 which all like totally makes sense. Like, it needs to happen. Kids can't be in a little cave. But feeling that there was so much pressure on me to get that right when it's something that I'd never really done before, was like I was working a lot of extra time and just trying my best to figure it all out and sort through the building code and siphon out information the best I could. And then I guess, so that was work. And then personally, I wasn't at a good spot with my dad, so I didn't feel like I could reach out to him. And that was something that like that in itself like really ate away at me, even though I pretended that it didn't, I guess. And I was in a relationship when I was in Calgary and just left that at the time. I should have been a bit more patient and open with that, but I wasn't. Anyways, so there was that was happening, and then just feeling the like a lot of the overwhelming, like, holy cow, I'm here. I have a large amount of debt to pay off. I don't feel like I have a lot of support in that safety net feeling. That's what I use to describe it. Like, that safety net has kind of been like taken away from under me on my tightrope and crumpled up and put in a ball. And so then it's just like almost impending doom sets in, and then your mind goes to wonderful places. And I started like pulling away from social events, which I'm a very social person and I love people. I also love like sleeping in and being lazy, but like I do love connecting with others. And when I was feeling like I was scared or even panicked to go out, and it's like, okay, this isn't what it needs to be. And then that kept developing, which ended up turning into like not sleeping. And when you don't sleep, like all hell breaks loose, for lack of better terms, because it's so important. And then getting to a point where I decided that I wasn't okay. I had been talking with my aunt over the course of time about it, saying like, feeling super anxious. I think I should maybe go get help. Like maybe I need to be on medication. I don't know. And just being really scared and afraid, because I had never like dealt with that aspect before. And then I did go to a doctor to receive help. I went to see her twice, and she told me there wasn't anything they could really do to help me, and that the hospital was full. Because I was like, I don't have a family here where I can be like, go stay with your parents until you cool off, or like until things start regulating. So I ended up checking in to the hospital. I went to the emergency room and just had told them that I wasn't well, wasn't feeling like myself, was having very intrusive thoughts that were quite troubling. And then I began my, I guess, wellness journey to that and recovery. So it was an interesting time. Like, I phoned her when I was waiting in the emergency room, and I was like, hey, just letting you know I'm here. I checked in. She said, I'll phone your dad. I said, okay, thank you. And then, so they knew. I got checked in, and like the day after or something like that, my dad came. My dad came right away, and I just remember like he was walking through the doors, because I was essentially in the psych ward. It's the same as the hospital except different, but it's pretty similar. And I was in like my little hospital slippers and gown, and he just broke down crying, and we hugged, and that was the beginning of us repairing a really crappy relationship. So maybe it was a breakdown to have a breakthrough in another area. It was pretty amazing. And then he like was so amazing and supportive throughout the during my stay in the hospital, he was here, I think for, I don't know exactly how long. I think I was in there for like 11 days or 7 days, 7 or 11. But he would bring me dinner and we'd eat lunch or dinner together there. We'd play volleyball in the outside area, like just pass with each other. And he would take me to go get, I'd be like, I need slippers. So we'd go to go shopping to look for slippers. And I was like a child. I was on the medications and stuff, and feeling like just really disoriented and all over the place. So I remember like being like, I think I'm going to fall over. And he's like, do I have to hold your hand? And I was like, well, maybe. It's like I'm 20 some years old and holding my dad's hand as we're shopping. Like, what is going on? But it was actually pretty incredible. And then he had asked the doctors to he sat in all the meetings I would have while he was here, and he had said, what can he do to help? And the message that they had sent him or had told him was that the biggest struggling time, I guess, or the hardest time would be when I get out and I'm transitioning back to like living on my own. So he actually came and stayed with me. I call it, he babysat me for like a week in that basement suite. And he healed me. So it was pretty amazing. He brought my bike down from Peace River. We'd go for bike rides. I'd be going to yoga. He'd drop me off. Like, even if I didn't want to go, he's like, you need to go do something. And there was one practice in particular, I was on my mat and I was just like bawling the entire time, because there's just like a lot of stuff trying to process. And when you're in a quiet space such as a yoga studio, it all comes in pretty quick at you. So just working through those emotions and having someone to talk to about it that you knew, like, he's my dad, he's not going to judge me for those types of things, or he can't anyways because we're here and this is the situation. So having that support from him was amazing. It was like a 180. Like, it's been drastically improved. Knowing that I can ask him for help, that he's there for me, that a lot of the things that the story that I was telling myself growing up was kind of that my brother was his favorite and blah, blah, blah. And like just seeing things one way, but that doesn't mean that they're actually intended to be seen that way by you. You know, the intention behind them is much different. So I just think that it's really like it's changed for the better and for the positive, definitely. And he's someone that I keep in touch with regularly and is an important person in my life and part of my support system and that safety net. And it's easy to fall back into patterns, even though you may have all the tools or know better. Know that, you know, the catastrophic thinking and being at home by yourself and just like remunerating things that doesn't get anyone anywhere. No, I do need to, like you said, check those stories, and it's whether is it a story or because I interpreted something one way doesn't mean that was the intention behind it, and just noticing that difference, I think, would be really helpful. Easier said than done, of course, because sometimes it's like, well, for 25 or 30 years this is how I react to this type of situation. And so even though having like a major like shift and thing happen through mental health is still something that you always need to go back and check, I guess. I think one of the biggest ones would just be listening to yourself. And if you know, or if you think something is wrong, then just go see a doctor. Like, if you were to sprain your ankle and you kept walking on it, soon it is going to break or whatever, right? Like, so just knowing that if you think there's something wrong, there's a reason you're thinking that. So going to have it checked out or digging a little deeper into it, there's nothing wrong with that, because if I could have done that earlier, that would have been great, because I feel like there was like probably a good 6 months that was just like terrible, that worst, and that could have been shortened, and it was up to me to decide that. Well, it was, I think it was within the first week or two we were dating, because I was at a point where I'm like, okay, whoever, if the person that I'm dating is worthwhile, and knowing that they're not my just like a week or two fling or something like that. Not that I'm a huge hussy or was a hussy, but, and if, well, maybe, I don't know. Anyhow, just, that was something that I always thought to myself after having the breakdown, we'll call it, that is something I wanted to share with my partner, and I would have to share with my partner, because it's still something I work on very much every day. And I'm also on medication for it. I have been for 8 or 9 years now. And it was something that it's just like asking if you have a sibling or what your mom's name is, or, you know, but it's almost more important because you're going to be starting a life with that person. So I just told him, like, I just said, I just want you to know, I'm on medication. I believe that's how it started. I had checked myself in, like, and just kind of told that story, and that I had been getting help and like things, just the steps, not that like I've checked in and now this is it, but like going to classes and therapy and reading books and learning about it, and being active in my recovery of that. So yeah, and he was just so understanding and laid back about it, like, okay, that's all right. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better response. I did. Well, my employer at the time ended up, when I went through that, they ended up finding out about it. That was something I was sheepish about. But one of my colleagues actually phoned the hospital to find out if I was there, because I had been a little off at work, missed a couple days, and she actually came and visited me like a couple of days after or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, how did you find out about this? Now everyone in the office is going to know, you know, and it was kind of like, but it turned out it was fine. It was fine. No one really cares. It's just like, you have a broken arm. And then when I started working for a general contractor a few years after that, I believe I had talked to them about it. I didn't bring it up like in the interview or even like my first month of working. It was after a while I had mentioned it. Or if someone, I will also bring it up too if someone is going through something similar, or has, one of my colleagues a few years ago had told me his daughter just like she was just having these really intrusive thoughts, thinking like catastrophic thinking, and then the anxiety, and she didn't want to go anywhere, and she was like scared. And I was like, hey, this sounds really familiar. This happened to me, like da 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 da, like went in and kind of told my story that way. It's not something that I'm like, hi, I'm Karlie, and I had a mental breakdown. I'm, I'm a high functioning individual with OCD, depression, blah, blah, blah. I think part of it though, and like even just having this discussion and being comfortable to talking to strangers about it, and knowing that like it's not that big of a deal. Like I'm not having severe anxiety right now, being like, oh my God, what is Bernice going to think about this? Or even thinking, holy shit, this is a video and a whole bunch of people may watch it, or no one may, and that's okay too. But I think just going through this process has helped me maybe become more open to talking about it more sooner than I would have like naturally wait until, okay, I'll wait until I cry over something or whatever. Like hearing someone else going through something similar that you may be going through at that same time, it helps you not feel as isolated or alone or as crazy or whatever other silly stigma that gets associated with it. So I would tell them that it's going to be okay. And I know that that is such a cliche thing that gets thrown around, but it truly will be okay. And if you are putting in the work to get better, that's all you can ask for, and just try your best to move forward each day. There'll be setbacks along the way. You just have to keep moving forward.